week 15 of the fantasy baseball season. And here's a few hitters I look to sell and trade this week. The first guy, Juan Miranda of the Minnesota Twins. So Miranda's been on a tear over the last couple weeks here and really picked things up as one of the hottest pickups in all of fantasy baseball. So on the season, for Miranda, 9 home runs, 43 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 35 runs scored, a 331 average, and a 373 on base. But over the last couple weeks, like I said, he's been white hot, is Miranda, at a time where he had 12 hits and 13 at-bats, 1 home run, 13 RBIs, 11 runs scored, a stolen base, 579 average, and a 591 on base. So he's hitting out of this world. He's seeing the ball real clear as Miranda. And going into last week, he was only owned in about 30% of fantasy leagues, now owned in 70% of leagues. But obviously, the way he's hitting the baseball, he's not going to be hitting at a 500-600 pace the rest of the season. So right now, he's playing way over his head as Miranda. After last season, hitting 211 in 142 at-bats. And this year, in 246 at-bats, to be hitting 330. Big bump up, no doubt about it. So right now, I believe he's going to fizzle out a little bit, especially the numbers he's been putting up of late. July 4th versus the Tigers, 5 for 5, 3 RBIs, 4 runs scored. July 5th versus Houston, 4 for 4, a homer, 2 RBIs, 3 runs scored. July 6th versus Houston, 2 for 3, a rib. July 7th versus Houston, pinched hit, 1 for 1. And July 8th at the White Sox in that ball game, 2 for 4. So Miranda's been a hit machine. In the last week alone, he's had 4 games with 2 hits or more. And he's been great, no doubt about it. But I believe, obviously, at this pace, it's not going to hold up. And you could get a nice bat and possibly even a pitcher in a deal if someone's very desperate for Miranda. This week, the next hitter is his teammate Byron Buxton of the Minnesota Twins. So Byron Buxton this season, he's worked on batting average in a big way over the last couple seasons, where he was near the Mendoza line. On the season for Buxton, 9 home runs, 38 RBIs, 40 runs scored, 5 stolen bases, a 275 average, and a 327 on base. With another guy in this Twin lineup that's hitting out of this world the last couple weeks. 4 home runs, 13 RBIs, 14 runs scored, a 432 average, and a 488 on base. And even to dig deeper, the last month of the year, 6 home runs, 22 RBIs, 22 runs scored, 3 stolen bases, a 357 average, and a 409 on base. So Byron Buxton is definitely taking a different approach this season, not always swinging for the fences and just trying to get solid contact and impact contact. And he's definitely made the most of it, but I don't believe it's going to hold up, especially the batting average he's put up over the last month of the year. July 5th versus Houston, 2 for 4, run and a rib. July 6th versus Houston, 2 for 4, homer, 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored. July 7th versus Houston, 2 for 4, run. And July 8th at the White Sox, 2 for 4, run and a rib. So right now, no doubt about it, he's playing great baseball, is Byron Buxton. I know a few years ago he hit 40-plus home runs, but I believe those days are behind him. And I just don't believe the batting average is going to keep up at the rate it is. So right now, while Buxton's playing good, I'm not going to take anything away from him. But if I could sell him high at peak value and the best value he's had in 2 or 3 seasons, this will be the time to do it. The next hitter, Matt Chapman on the San Francisco Giants. So Matt Chapman, it's been a pretty decent first season for him with the Giants. Better than last year for the most part. 12 home runs, 42 RBIs, 59 runs scored, 8 stolen bases, a 244 average, and a 327 on base. Already this season, he's got more stolen bases than last year. The average a little bit higher, and he's only 12 RBIs and 5 home runs behind what he did last season, especially where last year that's in 170 more at-bats. And over the last couple weeks for Chapman, he's heated up 4 home runs, 12 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 11 runs scored, 333 average, and a 421 on base. At Chapman, it's been a good season for him for the most part, especially the last 6-7 weeks. He's definitely turned the season around, where the first month and a half of the season, he didn't really do much. So right now, while Chapman's playing good baseball for this San Francisco Giant team, and someone you picked up off the wire coming into the year, to flip him in a deal for a starting pitcher, I think would be the move to make. July 4th at Atlanta, 2 for 4, homer, 2 RBIs. July 5th at the Guardians, 0 for 3. July 6th at the Guardians, 1 for 3, 2 runs, a stolen base. And July 7th at the Guardians, 1 for 4 with a run. So he's playing great baseball, is Chapman. Him and the Giants are set versus the Toronto Blue Jays, his former team, obviously. And you know he's going to want to stick it to him. But right now, while Chapman's playing good baseball, and I don't believe the average or even the power will drop off a little bit, he's a sell-high hitter this week. The next hitter, Brent Rooker of the Oakland Athletics. So Brent Rooker, I know, was a 30 home run guy last season. And this year, the power's been back once again. 18 home runs, 54 RBIs, 35 runs scored, 4 stolen bases, a 278 average, and a 353 on base. I think the average is way up a little bit for Brent Rooker, and he's a streaky hitter where there's months he'll hit 6 to 10 home runs in a month, and then a month he'll hit 1 or 2 home runs. So right now, well, he's been a hot streak, especially the last 2 weeks, hitting 395 with 5 homers, 10 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 8 runs scored, and a 460 on base in that time. I would sell Rooker high because he's playing way over his head. I know he's a mainstay and one of the best hitters in this A's lineup, batting third. But right now, I believe he's going to drop off big time, especially in batting average and even the home runs a little bit over the next few weeks. I will look to sell him high this week. July 4th versus the Angels, 2 for 3 in RBI, stolen base. July 5th versus Baltimore, 0 for 3. July 6th versus Baltimore, 3 for 4. A homer, 4 RBIs, 3 runs scored. And July 7th versus the O's, 1 for 3 with a run. So right now, Rooker playing great baseball. But while he's at peak value, and he's been one of the better hitters over the last month of the season, he's a sell-high candidate this week. And the fifth and final hitter I look to sell in trades, Brenton Doyle of the Colorado Rockies. So Doyle, he was a pickup over the last couple weeks where he got hot for this Rocky team and got an everyday job once again this season. After last year, he played half a year as a starter. So on the season, 11 home runs, 36 RBIs, 50 runs scored, 20 stolen bases, a 272 average, and a 336 on base. So last season hitting 203, and this year to bump it up 70 points is a big spike up. I know he's a stolen base guy, but he's showing power as well as Doyle. And over the last couple weeks, 5 home runs, 12 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 7 runs scored, a 317 average, and a 383 on base. But just to go the last week alone, he's been on a tear. 4 home runs and 21 at-bats, 5 runs scored, 9 RBIs, a stolen base, a 524 average, and a 600 on base. So Doyle's been tearing it up over the last week here. And obviously these numbers aren't going to stick. I know the power numbers have been great, no doubt about it. And he does play in Coors Field, so some of it could be true. But I just don't believe Doyle in one season is going to make a mighty leap where he could be a 20 home run guy and a 30, 35 stolen base guy. So right now, while he's playing great baseball and the hottest hitter in the last week in fantasy baseball, I would sell him high this week. July 5th versus the Royals, 3 for 4, 2 RBIs. July 6th versus the Royals, 0 for 2, a homer, 2 RBIs. July 7th versus the Royals, 0 for 4. And July 8th at the Reds, 1 for 2. So Doyle playing great baseball. Like I said, a product of Coors Field a little bit over the last couple weeks here. But I would sell him high this week because I just don't believe this pace. Obviously, he's going to stay on. And he doesn't have much of a track record. Besides the stolen bases, that's a few hitters I look to sell and trade here for Week 15 of the fantasy baseball season.